Good evening, folks. Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a round 11 summary Operation SF, San Francisco. It was a game of trading victory cities. The Germans were very successful in capturing Cairo. This is what is remaining, easily 10 ground units and their whole air force, although they did lose 4 aircraft to AAA fire and about 10 infantry, but the Italians came in behind them and fortified it, so it is going to be safe for the game. And this is currently what the Italians and the Germans have coming from the Middle East, eventually towards Calcutta. So that is going to be problematic for the FEC. The FEC did go into southern Iran, and they killed about 15 German ground units. But the Germans can replace them. You can see they have a massive follow-up of about another 20 ground units coming in, maybe 15, somewhere in there, and their whole air force is behind them. They are building Me-262 jet fighters, as you can see, and they are it's just coming down every turn. There's 10 or 12 units coming down, and the Italians are making more than the British now, and they are coming in as well. The Italians did build a air base in Transjordan, and they actually are not able to repair the naval base here. That has to be the Germans' next turn, so I'm going to have to fix that. But currently, this is what's happening in FEC. So they have another couple turns of follow-up, but they're going to run out of units, and it's round 11. So the Germans 12, 13, 14, 15. So they're going to have to kill as much British stuff as they can, and they do have a can opener of the Italians. So the other victory city that was taken care of, the Americans came and took Hawaii, and they actually rolled quite well. They only lost, I believe it was 5 units, and they killed 13 Japanese infantry. So successful campaign. Currently, the Axis are sitting at 12 VPs. So they have to, threaten Calcutta or capture Singapore, or hold on to these 4 victory cities over here. Now, the Japanese did do a very good job they've got all these naval transports, so they were able to reinforce Shanghai. So there is about 40 units each now. With the KMT, so that is safe. So the KMT, they're just sitting there getting rich. They're making 18 IPP a turn. The Russians and the CCP are pushing towards the coast. The Japanese they just grabbed all the units they could just to reinforce their victory cities. They are making now under 50 IPP, 49 to be exact. And they still have their Navy, which is very similar size to this Commonwealth Navy, which is sitting at a naval base. So the Japanese, what are they going to do with this Navy? They are probably going to retreat it back to this sea zone here with all of their naval transports. And the American Navy is simply bigger. The Americans now have 10 naval transports on the board. So they are going to, probably have to make more. But probably, at least right now, their best shot is the Philippines. But do the Japanese next turn reinforce the Philippines with all of the units from up in Tokyo, which is about 9 units? So that is painful when you're having to liberate a territory and it's got, 15 or 20 ground units. That's expensive. Over here, off of Sydney, the Americans brought their 2 naval transports from Argentina. So they are, actually have 12 naval transports on the board. The Australians only have 3, or a combined 3 with the FEC. So they're not going to be able to do much with that. Maybe they're going to try and reinforce Singapore, or maybe a follow-up somewhere if the Americans are not successful, or maybe they try and go and reinforce Calcutta. This British fleet here is still sitting off of Madras, and the Italian fleet is still sitting 1 sea zone in the Med, in sea zone 47. What's happening over here in the Atlantic? Not much. It's just they're building Navy in a standoff. The Germans did attack the convoy zones, or tried to at least put a sub there, forcing the Allies to put a destroyer, but the Allies responded by sending a sub, and if the sub submerges, the convoy zone is not blocked. So that's cheaper than sending a destroyer. We'll see what happens, if that's going to play out well long term or not. And the Allies still have these 4 naval transports here. 3 of them are Commonwealth and 1 of them is American. So they would like to get these naval transports into the Pacific, but the Japanese are probably going to vacate the Carolines next turn, and which would allow the Americans to come in. That is it. It's a kind of a quick summary for round 11. 4 more rounds for the Japanese to reinforce, and they're just building infantry. That's all they're doing. They're not even building navy anymore. Just reinforce and reinforce. And the Germans are coming. So still don't know who's going to win, but I'm having a lot of fun. Just want to point out the Allies, the British built some Churchill tanks, and I actually thought I must have misplaced them. Some Sherman Firefly sculpts. So that's currently what I'm using for that, and the Comet tank. So that's the British Comet tank. So the British are now starting to build some heavier armor units, and this sculpt is actually the D-Day amphibious tank, the Sherman version of the D-Day amphibious tank that stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. So just thought I'd point that out. I love using these different sculpts from HBG. And stay tuned for round 12, and we'll see you soon.